All right, subpart C, surety bond policy for the insurance motor carrier property brokers through part 387. 301. Surety bond certificate insurance with the other security public liability no higher with the motor carrier with the foreign Mexico with the motor carrier with the carrier with the foreign motor transportation except with the minority subject with the Title 4 with the Part B with the Chapter 135 Title 49 United States Code shall give with the interstate with the foreign commerce with the no certificate shall be issued with the certificate remaining force and left until they shall have then filed with the unaccepted by the federal motor carriers of the administration surety bond the certificate insurance proof of the qualification self-insurance self-insure other security for the agreement with the amount prescribed in 38730 with the 303 condition of the pay of the final judgment recovered against any of the trust motor carrier for bodily injuries, 2 for the death of any of the person resulting from the negligent operation mainly for the use of motor vehicles and transportation. Subject to Title 4 of the Part B with Chapter 135, Title 49, U.S. Standard Code for the loss of the damaged property of others and the case of the motor vehicle's property operator of freight vehicle is described in 387-303B2 for the environmental restoration passenger motor carriers except in 387-27. This part are not subject to limitation of transportation required to file evidence of financial responsibility. 2. Motor carrier properties of the subject with the conditions set forth in paragraph A1 of the section transport commodities described in 387-303B2 required to obtain security for the minimum limits prescribed in 387-303B2. Household goods and motor carriers insured for the no household good motor carrier subject to subtitle 4 of the Part B of the Part Chapter 135 of the Title 49. U.S. Standard Code shall give the interstate foreign commerce and nowhere shall any of the certificate be issued by such of the household goods motor carrier to remain in force unless until they have been filed with except with the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration surety bond certificate insurance proof qualification self-insurance other security agreements an amount prescribed in 387-303 condition from the such for the carrier compensation individual ship of the property belonging with the individual shipper to coming in possession of such carrier connection with the transportation service the terms household good motor carrier carrier individual shipper to define in this part 375 of the subchapter continuing compliance required with such security except the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration in accordance with requirements of 13906 with the Title 49 United States Code shall remain in effect at all times. Surety bonds of the certificate of insurance of other securities. Public liability, no common contractor carrier of the foreign Mexican motor private carrier of the foreign motor carrier transportation except for the commodity subject to Title 4 Part B 135 Title 49 U.S. Code shall engage interstate foreign commerce. No certificate permit with it shall be issued for the carrier of the remaining force and left until they shall have been filed with accepted by the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration surety bond certificate issuance proof of qualification self-insured other security arrangement in amount to the prescribed in 387-303T with the condition of payment the final adjustment recovered against the motor carrier for the bodily injury to the death of any of the person resulting in negligent operation maintenance chief of the motor vehicle and transportation subtitle 4 part with the B with 1 chapter 135 title 49 U.S. Standard Code loss for the damage for the property other than in case of the other motor carrier property operating freight vehicles described in 387-303TB2 environmental restoration motor carrier with the property subject to conditions set forth in paragraph A1 of the section transport commodities prescribed in 387-303TB2 required to obtain security minimum limits of the prescribed 387-303TB2. Our household good motor carrier with the cargo insurance, the household goods and motor carrier subject to the subtitle 4 of the B, chapter 135, title 49 U.S. Standard Code and gave the interstate foreign commerce north shell with the certificate be issued with the household good motor vehicle with the motor carrier with the remain in force unless until they shall have been filed with the accepted motor carrier safety administration surety bond certificate insurance proof of the qualification self-insured with other securities agreements for the amount with prescribed in 387-303T condition upon the such carrier making compensation individual shipper for all the property belonging with the individual shipper the coming into position with such carrier connection with the transportation service in terms of household good motor carrier with the individual shipper to define in part 375 of the chapter. Continuing compliance required with such security is accepted by the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration according with the requirements of 13906 with the Title 49 U.S. Standard Code shall remain in effect at all times. 387-303 security of protecting public minimum liability definition primary security public liability coverage of the provided with the insurance security company responsible for the first dollar of coverage excess of security means the public liability coverage of the above the primary security above additional under security up to including but the required minimum limits set forth in paragraph B2 of the section. B1 motor carrier subject to 387-301A with the required with the security required minimum limits small freight vehicles. Alright, limits to applicable to transit for provider limit notwithstanding the provision B1-2 of the section limited minimum level of responsibility of motor carrier vehicle to transportation service the transit service under the agreement of the federal, state, and local government funded in whole in part of the grant of the Title 49 U.S. Code 5307, 5310, 5311, including transportation design carried out to meet special needs of elderly individuals with disability will be the highest level required in any of the state in which it operates. The paragraph apply with the transit service provided to operate with the transit service area located in one or more of the states within transit service provided to operate in one state but interline with the other motor carrier with the provide interstate with the transportation with it and outside of the transit service. The transit service provide with the conducting such operation must register their hire with the passenger carrier with the under 365 subpart A, part 390, subpart E, subchapter identified state in which they operate under the applicable grants and certify the registration documents that have an effect with the financial responsibility amount equal to the greater than the highest level required any of the state in which they operated under the qualifying grant. Motor carrier subject to 387.301A2 that is required with the security of the required minimum limits as follows. Motor carrier subject to the minimum limits governed by this section, which are the subject of the Department of Transportation limiting requirements, are no time required of the security no more than required minimum limits established in the security of the transportation application applicable to provision Title 49 Part 387. Minimum level of financial responsibility of the motor carrier, foreign motor carriers, foreign motor private carriers, foreign motor private carriers, foreign motor private carriers, subject to the Mexican, subject to the requirements of Title 49 U.S. Code 13902C, Title 49 CFR Part 368 regarding obtaining certificate of registration for federal motor carriers. If the administration must meet the minimum financial responsibility requirements that may be obtained, insurance coverage is in the required amount for the period of 24 hours longer. The insurance and surety companies meet the requirements of Title 49 CFR 387.315. The carriers must be available to inspection in each of the vehicle operating in the United States. Copies of following the documents: certificate of the registration required, insurance endorsement form MS90, MCS 90, insurance identification card, binder with the document issued for the authorized insurer. This specifies the both effective date of the expiration date of insurance coverage. Notwithstanding the provision of 387.301A1, following the evidence for the insurance required for the condition issuing with the certificate of the registration, further can be referenced for the continuance for coverage of 387.313A6, reference to cancellation notice 387.313E, if not applicable to carrier, household goods, motor carriers, cargo security is required to compensate individual shipper to allow the damaged property with the belonging to them coming into the possession of household goods, motor carriers with connection with the transportation services. For loss of damage to household goods carried on any one motor vehicle, $5,000. For loss of damage, aggregated loss of damages, or to any household occurring at any one-time place with $10,000. Alright, 387.303T, security of the protection public, the minimum limit, the definition, preliminary security of the meaning of the public liability coverage provided by the insurance surety company for the responsible for first dollar coverage. Excess security, the meaning of the public liability coverage of the primary security of the above, and additional undertaking underlying security up to including the required minimum limits set forth in paragraph B2 of this section. B1 motor carriers subject to 387.301T A1 required to have security of the required minimum limits, small freight vehicles. Motor carriers subject to the 387.301T1TA2 are required to have security required minimum limits as follows. Alright, your motor carrier is subject to the minimum limit governed by the section without subject to the Department of Transportation limited requirement with no time have required for the security for more than required with the minimum limits established for the security of the Secretary of Transportation applicable to provisions of this part. Foreign motor carrier, the foreign motor private car, the foreign motor carrier, the foreign motor private car carriers, Mexican shove the requirements of Title 49 U.S. Standard Code 13902C and Title 49 CFR Part 368 regarding obtaining certificate of registration from the Federal Motor Carriers if the administration must meet with the minimum financial responsibility requirements by obtaining insurance coverage in the required amount for the period of 24 hours longer with the insurance of the security company to meet the requirements of 387.315. Carrier must have available the inspection each of the vehicle operating with the hand. United States, the companies following the document certificate of the registration, the required issuance endorsement form, the MCS 90, insurance identification card, the binding with the other documents issued by the authorized insurer, those specified the both effective date of the expiration date of the insurance coverage. Notwithstanding the provision 387.301T and 301T-A1 for filing evidence that is not required for the condition of insurance, the certificate of the registration further reference to continuous coverage of the 387.313.86 of the reference to the cancellation of 387.313.ATD for the non-applicable carriers. See, household good motor carriers cargo liability sticker to require that the compensated individual shipper allow for the damaged property with the beginning with them and coming in the possession of household good motor carriers in connection with their transportation services. For loss and damages, household goods carried on any of the one of the motor vehicle, $5,000, and for loss of damage, aggravated loss damages are to more than household goods outcoming in one of the time place of $10,000. Alright, 387.305 combination vehicle. The following combination will be regarded within one motor vehicle for the purpose of the part, the tractor and semi-semi of the trailer, with the tractor engaged solely in the drawing of the trailer and the semi-trailer be a tractor, a truck or trailer with both together being a single load, bearing a single load. R387307, the property broker surety bond trust fund security. The broker must have the surety bond with the trust fund effective with the $75,000. Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration will not issue broker license until the surety bond or the trust fund in the full limits of liability prescribed herein is in effect. The broker license shall remain invalid effective only as long as the surety bond with the trust fund remains in effect. The shall be insured for the financial responsibility of the broker. Evidence of the surety bond must file with the evening of the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration prescribed form BMC 84. Evidence the trust fund's financial institution must be filed with the Federal Motor Carrier Administration prescribed form BMC 85. That the surety bond with the trust fund shall ensure the financial responsibility of the broker providing the payment of the ship of the motor carrier if the broker fails to carry out the contract agreement arrangements of the supplying the transportation authorized motor carrier. Financial institution, when used in this section form that prescribed under the section not otherwise distinctly expressed with manifestly incompatible with the intent of the such shall mean that each of the agency branch of the Office of the United States, any of the persons defined by the Interstate Commerce Termination Act, doing business with one or more of the capabilities listed below. Insured bank that defined in Section 3 of the Federal Deposit Insurance Act. Commercial bank, the trust company, agency branch of the Foreign Bank of the United States, insured institution of the National Housing Act. 3. Institution, saving bank, building, loan, association, credit union, industrial bank, or other insurance company, loan and financing company, person subject to the supervision in each state of the Federal Bank Supervisory Authority. D. Forms and procedures form of the broker security and trust agreements of the BMC 84 broker security will be filed with the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration. Full security limits of the paragraph A with section form BMC 85 broker trust funds agreements will be filed with the Federal Motor Carrier Administration. Full security limits of paragraph A with the section. Broker surety bond with the trust fund agreement with the effect of the continuously surety bond with the trust and fund agreement shall be specifically covered thereunder will remain in effect with the continuous until the terminated as there here. Alright, 1. Cancellation known as surety bond with the trust fund agreement with the may be canceled only upon 30 days of the written notice of Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration prescribed in BC 36 by principal surety of the bonds on with the prescribed form BC 30 and BC 85 by the trust broker and the trustee of the trust fund agreement with the notice of the period of commencing the actual receipt of the notice of the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration, Washington, D.C. Or termination by replacing broker surety bond with the trust fund agreement which have they accept the Federal Motor Carrier Safety under these rules be replaced with the other surety bond with the trust fund agreement the liability with the retiring surety of the trustee of the owner of the surety bond with the trust fund agreement there shall be considered that having terminated the effective date of the replacement surety bond and trust fund agreement. However, such termination shall not affect the liability surety of the trust fund trustee under the payment of any of the damage arising result of the contracts agreements arrangements made by the broker for the supplying with the transportation prior to the date of such termination becomes effective. Filing copies, broker and surety bond with trust and funds agreements must be filed with the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration as in duplicate. 387-309 qualifications self-insured with the other security and agreements all as a self-insured with the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration considers will approve the subject to appropriate reasonable conditions of the application motor carrier to the qualify with the self-insured with the carrier is furnished with the true and accurate statement, financial condition, and other evidence of the established for the satisfaction of Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration liability, motor carrier safety obligation with the bodily injury, liability, property damage, liability, cargo liability, applicable guidelines in addition with the following form BC 40 applications authority self-insuring against bodily injury, property damage claim with the such evidence that will allow Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration the adequacy of the tangible net worth of the motor carrier relation with the safe of the operation, side of the operation extent of the request of self-insurance authority. Application should demonstrate the will and maintain that worth of the will ensure that the will be and it meets the statutory obligation public indemnity of complaints event and loss. The existence of the sound self-insurance program applicant deemed the demonstrator that has established that will maintain the issuance of that will protect the public against the claim to the same extent with the minimum security limits of the applicable to 387-303 with the SPAR programs may include but not limited to one or more of the following irrevocable letters of credit, irrevocable trust funds, reserves, and sinking funds, third parties, financial guarantees, parent partner company, affiliated sureties, excess insurance coverage, other similar arrangements. R3. Existence of the adequate safety program. The applicant may submit the evidence for the current satisfactory safety rating with the United States Department of Transportation on rate of the carrier need only certify that they have not been rated, the application of the carrier with less than satisfactory rating with a similarly denied any insurance authority granted by Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration actually automatically expire for 30 days after the carrier received less than satisfactory rating of the Department of Transportation. For additional information, application must submit additional information to support the application of the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration. May require other security agreements of the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration. Also consider the applicant approval of the other securities agreements will approve that any of such application is satisfied with the security agreement offered will afford the security for the protection of the public and contemplate within by Title 49 U.S. Standard Code 13906. 387-311. Bond certificate insurance. Public liability. Each of the BC 82 surety bond filed with the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration must follow full limits of the liability required in 387-303B1 form MCS 82 surety bond to the other form. Similar import prescribed by the Department of Transportation may be deaggregated to comply with the minimum security limits required in 387-303B1, 303B2. MCS 91 certificate issuance of the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration will always represent the full security minimum limits required by the particular carrier while it's remaining in force under the 387-303B1 or 387-303B2, whichever is applicable to previously executed the Form BC-91 filed before the current revision left from within the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration after effective date of the regulation, not canceled 30 days of the date, will be deemed certified with the same coverage limits for the wood filed with the revised in the Form B and BMC-91. Each Form BMC-91X certifies the certificate insurance filed with the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration represents full security limits under 387-303B1 and 303B2. Specific security limit coverage indicated with the face of the form. The filing reflects the aggregation. Certificate must show clearly whether the insurance is primarily and accepts the coverage amount of the underlying coverage as well as the amount of the maximum limit of coverage. Each of the Form BMC 91 and MX certificate insurance filed with the Form Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration will represent the security of the limit for the coverage indicated with the face of the form. Form BMC 91 and MX must show clearly whether the insurance is primary or excessive coverage amount underlying coverage as well as the amount of maximum limit of coverage. Alright, cargo liability. Each of the Form BMC 83 surety bond with the Federal Motor Carrier Safety must be in the full limits of liability required in 387-303C. The BMC 34 certificate insurance filed with the Federal Motor Carrier Safety represent the full security limits of 387-303C or the special specific security limits coverage if indicated in the face of the form. If the filing would reflect the aggregation certificate, must show clearly whether insurance primary with the excess of the coverage amount with the underlying the coverage as well as the amount of the maximum limits of the coverage. Each policy insurance connection with the certificate insurance will be filed with the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration with the attachment with the appropriate endorsement prescribed in the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration certificate of the insurance filed with the accurately reflect the endorsement. Alright, 387-313 forms and procedure forms and endorsement certificate insurance other than form prescribed the endorsement policy with the insurance surety bond certificate insurance application qualifies self-insurance approved with the other security agreements and notices of cancellation must be informed, prescribed, and approved with the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration. Aggregation of the insurance when the insurance is provided by more than one insurer in order to aggregate the security limits of the carrier they are operating only with the freight cars under 10,000 pounds. The gross weight rating as defined in 387-303B1. So form of BC 90 or the specific limitation underlying limits coverage. Shown there on the appended thereof to the form MBMC 91X certificate required that each of the insurer aggregation insurance of all the other carriers covered the security limit to 387-303B1 or B2. Submit to the Department of Transportation prescribed endorsement form BMC 91X certificate required by the insurance provided with more than one insurer to aggregate the coverage security limits under 387-303C. So form BMC 32 endorsement form BMC 34 certificate insurance required for each of the insurers. For aggregation insurance with the foreign motor privately recover with an unhazardous commodity with the cover the security of 387-303B4 separate of the BC 90 with specific amount of the underlying limits of the coverage shown thereon have been appended or thereto under the Department of Transportation prescribed endorsement form BMC 91 MX certificate required by each of the insurers. Alright, 3. Use of certificate endorsement BMC for the BMC 91 certificate issuance to file with the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration full security limited for the 387-303B1 and B2. Form BMC 91X certificate insured for the file with the representative full coverage at any level with the aggregation of the security limits of the 387-303B1 and 2. Form BMC endorsement will be used each of the following: form the BMC 9191X certificate of the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration certificate of the coverage is not governed by the requirements of the Department of Transportation. Form BMC 32 endorsement. Form BMC 34 certificate insurance. Form BMC 83 surety bonds are used the limits for the cargo limit liability under 3A7303C. Forms of BMC 91MX certificate insurance will be filed with the represent any level of aggregation security limits on 3A7303B4. When endorsements of the MCS series with security limits of certified on 3A7303B1 and B or B2 involve the coverage of the required by the Department of Transportation. Form MCS endorsements, endorsement of the Department of Transportation, such including forms of MCS 90 endorsement required surety bonds. The surety bonds use the rather certificate of insurance form BMC 82 required the security limits of the 3A7303B1 not subject to the regulation of the Department of Transportation. Form MCS 982 any form of the similar import with prescribed by the Department of Transportation use the security limited subject to the minimum coverage requirement of the Department of Transportation. Surety bonds certificates continuously. Surety bonds and certificates of insurance specifically covered to the year under will remain effective continuously until the terminated hereunder and accept the will and file the accept the file field prior gaps lapses coverage of the cover grants emergency temporary authority unusual short duration filing clearly indicates special unusual circumstance when special submission obtained with the following certificate insurance surety bonds and terms meeting of the other particular needs in the situation. Files and copies. Certificate of insurance of the surety bond notes for the cancellation must be filed with the FSM Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration at the website. Name insured certificate, insurance surety bonds will issue the full correct name of the individual partnership corporation, other person with the certificate permanent license as if then be issued the case of the partnership or all partners to be named. Or decancellation notice. Except for the provided paragraph E of the section surety bond certificate insurance of the security agreement is not canceled written withdrawn within 30 days of the written notice to be submitted to the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration.gov prescribed in the form BMC 35 notice of cancellation motor carrier policy with the insurance under Title 49 U.S. Code 1396 BMC 36 notice of the cancellation motor broker surety bonds as appropriate by the insurance company sureties motor carrier broker other party thereto within case of the which period of 30 days shall commence with the run of the date such notice of the prescribed and filed with the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration at the website. Determination of the replacement certificate insurance surety bonds have been accepted by the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration under the rules accepted by the Federal Motor Carrier Safety under the rules to replace the certificate insurance surety bonds of the security liability retiring insurance surety under the certificate. Insurance surety bonds shall be considered having terminated as of the effective date of the replacement certificate. Insurance surety bonds, other security provided with the replacement certificate bond, other security replacement. The Federal Carrier Safety Administration under rules and regulations in this part. Termination forms BMC 32 and 34 with the motor carrier transportation property that has other than the household goods form BMC 32 and endorsement form BMC 34 certificates insurance issued motor carrier transportation property other than household goods that have been replaced with the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration have these rules expire on March 21st, 2011. Alright, 3A7313T forms and procedure forms and endorsement certificates insurance and other than form of the prescribed endorsement policy with the insurance surety bond certificate insurance applications qualify insurance of the approval of the other security agreements of the notes for the cancellation must be in the prescribed approved of the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration. The aggregation insurance when the insurance is provided more than one insurer the aggregate of the security limits of the carriers operating only freight vehicles under 10,000 pounds gross vehicle rating as defined as in set form. And BMC 95 specific amounts underlying limits coverage thereof appended there from form BMC 91 certificate required in each of the insurer. For aggregation insurance with all of the other coverage cover the security limits of the 3870302B1 and 2 of the separate Department of Transportation prescribed endorsement form BMC 91 certificate required by each of the insurer should provide the more of the insurer for the aggregate coverage security limits on the 3A7303T, the separate BMC 32 endorsement form BMC 34 certificate issuance insurance required to insure. For aggregation insurance for the foreign motor private carrier non-hazard commodity the other security limits on the 3A7303TB4 with a separate form BMC 90 specific amounts underlining limited coverage of the shown there on an appended with the Department of Transportation prescribed endorsement form BMC 91MX certificate required for each insurer using certificates of endorsement BMC here with the BMC 91 certificate insurance which will be filed with the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration full security limits of 38703L3TB1 and 2 one of the form BMC 91X certificate insurance with the filed with a representative of the full carriage at any level of the aggregation security limits under 3873003T B1 and 2. Form BMC 90 endorsements will be used each filing Form BMC 91 or 91X certificate for the Federal Motor Carrier Administration. Certificate covers not governed with the requirements of the Department of Transportation. Form BMC 32 endorsement Form BMC 34 certificate insurance the Form BMC 33 surety bonds used at the limits of the cargo limiting liability on 3873032 BC. Form BMC 91 MX certificate insurance will be filed with the represent. Level of aggregation security limit to 3873003TB4. Youth endorsement MCS service security limits covered and certified by the A3873003TB1 or B2 involved with the coverage of the required by the Department of Transportation Form MCS endorsement prescribed by the Department of Transportation, such as including Form MCS 90 with the endorsement is required surety bonds. When the surety bond is used rather than certificate insurance for the MC 82, but they required by the security limits of the under 3873003TB1, no subject to the regulation of the Department of Transportation. Form MCS 82 and any other similar imported prescribed the Department of Transportation issue the security limit subject and minimum coverage of the requirements of the Department of Transportation surety bond certificate. Effective continuous surety bonds of the certificate insurance shall specify the coverage they are under remaining effective and continuously until terminated herein provided excess. When filed expressly filed prior to the gaps, lamps, and coverage of the coverage grants emergency temporary authority, usually short duration filing clearly so indicates. In special unusual circumstances, some special permission obtained with the filing certificate insured with the surety bond with the terms meeting the other particular needs situation filing copy certificate insurance surety bonds notice for the cancellation must be filed with Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration in triplicate. Name and insured certificate insurance surety bonds shall be the issue of the full correct name of the individual partnership corporation and other person to whom the certificate permit license is to be issued in the case of the partnership. All partners shall be named. Cancellation notice except for the provided paragraph E with the section surety bond certificate insurance and other securities agreements shall not be canceled withdrawn until 30 days written notice be submitted to the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration. It forces its office in Washington, D.C. with the prescribed the Form BMC 935 notice for the cancellation motor carrier policy for the issuance under Title 49 U.S. Standard 13907. Next is 906 BMC 36 no cancellation motor carrier property broker surety appropriate insurance commercial company sureties motor carrier broker any other party through the in which case as the case may be the period of 30 days shall commence the run over the day and date such notice prescribed the actually received with the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration. Termination of the replacement certificate insurance surety bonds which have been accepted by the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration under these rules replace the other certificate insurance surety bonds. The other security liability retiring insured the surety under certificate saying insurance of the surety bond shall be considered as having terminated over the effective date of the replacement certificate insurance surety bond. Other security provided with the said replacement certificate bond other security and acceptable Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration under the rules and regulations of the part. Termination forms of BMC 3234 of the motor carrier transportation property with the household goods BMC 32 with the endorsement form BMC C34 certificate issuing of the motor carrier transportation property with other household goods that have been accepted by the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration under rules which expired March 21st, 2011. Alright, 387-315 insurance surety companies. Certificate insurance surety combined with will not be accepted by a Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration unless issued by an insurance or surety company that is authorized, licensed, admitted to issue bonds on underlying insurance policies. Each state within which the motor carrier is authorized Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration operate. The state which the motor of the carrier is the principal property place of the business domicile will designate with the written and upon request of the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration, person upon whom the process is issued by or under the authority of the court competent jurisdiction may be served with any of the preceding law and equity of the brought in the state with which the carriers operate, any state eligible for the except of the surplus line, ensure that any of the state of the business written with the will make designation of the process of the agent described in paragraph B of the section. In Providence Territory of the Canadian motor carrier with the principal pace of the business of the domicile of the designated of the Britain upon request of the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration person upon the process issued by under the authority of the corrective of the competent jurisdiction may be served with any of the preceding law equity brought in any state which carrier operates. Alright, 387-317, refusal to accept the revocation of Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration, surety bonds, etc. Federal Motor Carrier Safety made at any time refuse to accept may revoke the acceptance of any surety certificate, insurance qualification, self-insure, other securities agreements, if in a judgment the security does not comply with the section, if any of the reason fail to provide satisfactory adequate protection of the public, revocation and acceptance of any of the certificate issuance of the surety of the other security shall not relieve the motor carrier from compliance 387-301C. Or 387319 fiduciaries. The term insure for the principal of you with the certificate issue for the bond notice for the cancellation file for motor care with include with the motor care with include it's a fiduciary moment of the succession. The term fiduciary means the person, any person authorized the law to collect, preserve property of the incapacitated, financially disabled, bankrupt, or deceased holders of operating rights, assigning to such holders. Alright, insurance coverage on behalf of the fiduciary is applied concurrently with the coverage furnished on the provision section on behalf of the fiduciary should not apply with the subsequent effective date of the insurance other insurance over the security with allowed with approval of the Federal Motor Care Safety Administration on behalf of the fiduciary after the coverage provided the section shall have been in effect within 30 days and has been canceled with withdrawal with a succeeding period of 30 days to be insured for the surety of the principal up to 10 days notice for the written Federal Motor Care Administration Office of the Washington D.C. with a period of 10 days shall commence for the running with those date such notice is actually received the Federal Motor Care Safety Administration after just covered in effective total 60 of the day within canceled withdrawal in accordance with 104337. 321 operating foreign commerce. No motor carrier may operate within the United States for the course of the transportation between the place of the foreign country, between the place of the one foreign country and the place of another foreign country, unless until they shall have been filed with and accepted by the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration certificate, insurance, surety, bond, private for the qualification, self-insured, other security agreement with the amount with the prescribed in 3A7303B with the condition of paying final judgment recovered against the motor carrier and the bodily injury death of any of the person resulting in the negligent operation maintenance of the motor vehicle transportation between place of the foreign country, between a place of the foreign country and another place of another foreign country, insofar as the transportation takes place in the United States, or for a loss of the damaged property of the other security of the protection public required section shall be maintained in effect at all the times subject to the provision 3A7309 through 3A7319. Requirements of 3A7315A shall be satisfied with the insurance or surety company, in addition with having to be approved of the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration legally authorized issues on policy with surety bonds at least once for the states of the United States, one of the provisions of the Canada has filed Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration name and address of the person upon the legal process to be served in each of the state through the motor carrier operator that shall designation made from time to time to be changed legally like designation similarly filed shall be maintained but during the effectiveness of any certificate, insurance, surety bonds by company thereafter with respect to any of the claims arising during the effectiveness such certificate bound on the motor carrier as used in section should not be concluded with the private carriers and carriers operating with a particular exemption of the regulation Title 49 U.S. Standard Code 13503 and 13506. Alright, 387-323 electronic filing, surety bond, trust fund agreement, the certificate of insurance cancellation. Insurers must electronically form BMC 34, 35, 36, 82, 83, 84, 85, 91, and 91X in accordance with the requirements of paragraph set forth in paragraphs B and D with this section. B. Each insurer must obtain the authorization file electronically registered with the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration, individual account number, the password from the computer access the issue with each of the registered insurer. Filings must be transmitted online via the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration.gov. All registered insurers agree to furnish up the request the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration copy of the policies, all certificate, insurance, endorsement, surety bonds, trust fund agreements, proof of qualification, self-insured with the other such insurance filings. Alright, 3A7323, T with electronic filing, surety bond, trust funds, agreement, certificate, insurance, cancellation. Insurance may have the option according to the requirements of the procedure set forth and through A and T with this section file, the BMC 34, 35, 36, 82, 83, 84, 85, 91, 91X, electronically in lieu of the prescribed permitted forms, ensure that must obtain the authority file electronically registered with the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration, individual account number to password computer across the issue. Each registered insurer files may be transmitted online with the internet with the Federal Highway Administration, VALA.gov, American Standards Code Information Interchange. Transmission must be fixed format. All records must have the same name of the fields in the same location. If the American Standard Code Information Interchange electronic transaction, describe following table. All registered insurers agree to furnish up the request of the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration to duplicate original policies endorsing on surety bond with the trust funds and other filings. So Part D, surety bonds, policies, insurance, and freight forwarders. Testing.